Hello everyone. I will attempt to discuss transformative learning theory as it has developed over the past 3 decades, following the theories of Jack Mezzaro. Based on constructivist paradigm, transformative learning theory holds that meaning exists within the individual and not in external forms. Mezzaro defined transformative learning as the process of using prior interpretations to construct new or a revised interpretation of the meaning of one's experience in order to guide future action. Transformative learning then is a process of examining, questioning, validating, and revising our perspectives. Transformative learning theories serve as the foundation of most adult learning theories both here in the United States and in many other Western countries. Mezzaro first introduced his theory in 1975, which is based on a study of 83 women who are returning to college in order to continue their education. In this initial theory, he described transformation as a 10-phase process, with 6 of those phases focused on the preparation and implementation of the new perspective of the development following transformation. Mezzaro continued to develop his theory. In 1981, his theory of adult learning and education based largely on Habermas' 3 kinds of learning. In 1985, his self-directed learning theory was developed, followed by his transformative dimension of adult learning in 1991. This version of his theories has become the standard model followed in adult education. His 1997 version, Transformative Learning, Theory to Practice, will serve as the point of comparative analysis for this presentation. Throughout his lifetime, Mezzaro recognized the need to consistently update his theories and encouraged other researchers to continually look for ways to add to the body of research on transformative learning. The literature is filled with research theories that build upon Mezzaro's theories in ways that both complement and contradict his findings. 2 examples will be featured in this presentation. The Role of Spirituality in Transformative Learning by Elizabeth Tisdale and The Challenge to Reflection by Swedish researcher Kaizo Malki. Mezzaro introduced 2 terms that have become key in understanding transformational learning: habits of mind and points of view. Habits of mind are described as broad cultural, social, political, and psychological codes that help to shape one's view of the world and personal perceptions. These habits of mind tend to be more stable and fixed than points of view. Points of view deal with how one sees the other, and unlike habits of mind can change over time as the adult assimilates with diverse individuals and groups. Mezzaro expanded his 3 kinds of meaning, epistemic, sociolinguistic, and psychological, to include moral, ethical, philosophical, and aesthetic in his 2000 version. The epistemic habits of mind are related to the way we acquire and use knowledge. The sociolinguistic habits of mind focuses on our use of language and how we use it in our social and cultural context. For example, it is through his habits of mind we usually frame our views of others and accept or reject diversity. Moral ethical habits of mind are pretty self-explanatory. Here is where a person defines their view of good and evil, justice and injustices, and how they will react to these phenomena. Both the philosophical and aesthetic habits of minds deal with how we place values on certain aspects of life, our worldview, and our spiritual beliefs. Each of these habits of minds, according to Mezzaro, are interdependent and interconnected. While Mezzaro's theories examined the purely cognitive and rational paths to transformative learning. Still others began to explore work that focused on the personal and imaginative approach to transformation. Most notably, Paulo Freire and his emancipatory education movement had as its foundation a strong Christian social gospel. Tisdale's study of a multicultural group of 31 women adult educators and the role of spirituality in their transformative learning follows the spirit of this movement. She makes a distinction between spirituality and religion, with spirituality being described as an individual's personal experience or journey towards wholeness, and religion as a more organized community of faith that is usually a product of early unquestioned orientations by family and others. In her research, Tisdale extends Measures' theory to include the individual's connections to a higher self, God, divine spirit, life force. From her study, she identified 5 major themes reflected in these women adult educators' experiences. Spirituality as a life force that provides a sense of interconnectedness and wholeness. The belief in the presence of a higher power provided the courage to tackle new challenges. The process of moving beyond spiritual values was not linear but rather more like a spiral. An integrated and balanced approach to living and a commitment to social changes was important to transformation, and spirituality aided them in the development of an authentic identity. The author concludes that there is indeed a role of adult educators to create learning spaces that recognize and foster sacredness and shimmering moments that help to guide adult learners to wholeness. Critical reflection is a cornerstone of Measures' theory, and throughout his various development stages, he emphasized its importance to adult transformative learning. Reflection is seen as a process of reconsidering experiences through reason and interpreting the experiences to form mental structures. For Swedish researcher Kaijo Malki, this explanation is insufficient. What is necessary for reflection to occur in the first place? How does an individual decide his point of view is challenged? What psychological forces are at play? These are the questions form the basis of his research. Malki's study entitled Building on Measures' Theory of Transformative Learning, Theorizing the Challenges to Reflection, seeks to demonstrate the limitations on Measures' theory as it relates to the social and emotional dimensions of reflections in transformational learning. Combining the neurobiological theory of emotions and consciousness developed by Antonio Damasio and Measures' transformation theory, Malki seeks to identify and describe a balance between emotions and rationality, while at the same time identifying prerequisites necessary for reflection to occur. From his synthesis of the two different paradigms, he develops a new theory that emphasizes both the emotional and experimental dimensions in reflection, which he labels comfort zone, defined as the continuous and coherent aspect of one's meaning perspective, which he expressed as a cognitive component. The edge emotions, both positive and negative, represented by the arrows on the left and right side, are evident when emotions occur at the edge of the comfort zone when meaning becomes challenged. As I stated at the beginning of this presentation, transformative learning theory as pioneered by Jacques Mezereau continues to be one of the foundation of adult learning theory. I hope this presentation will help to show how researchers continue to adapt it to changing social and cultural views and address ways to make meaning out of adult prior experiences. Thank you for watching and listening, and as always, all questions, comments and feedback will be greatly appreciated.